Harbor kids! I want to do a quick recap of our units so far. We've been talking about what happened after Jesus rose from the dead. The first week of this unit, we learned that Jesus appeared to his disciples. They were locked in a room, but that couldn't stop Jesus. Then we learned that Jesus showed his hands and his side to Thomas so that Thomas would believe in Jesus' resurrection. 2 weeks ago, we learned that Jesus forgave Peter and gave him a mission. And last week, we talked about the mission Jesus gave to all believers. Today, we will hear about a story in a time when Jesus went up very high. And we'll learn about when he will come back the same way. As the video starts, think about why Jesus would travel very high up. Watch the video.
After Jesus died on the cross and was raised from the dead, he had spent time with his disciples over 40 days. Now, Jesus gave his disciples important instructions. He told them not to leave the city of Jerusalem. Jesus said the disciples should wait there until God kept his promise to give them the Holy Spirit.
Jesus reminded the disciples of John the Baptist. John had baptized people with water when they turned away from their sin and turned to God. Jesus said that in a few days, the disciples would be baptized too, not with water, but with the Holy Spirit. Lord, are you giving the kingdom back to Israel now? The disciples asked. God was with his people, the Jews, but they looked weak. The Romans ruled over them. The Jewish people wanted to have power over other nations.
Jesus did not say yes, but he did not say no. The Father knows when the time is right, he said. Then Jesus said, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit has come on you. You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in all Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." As Jesus' witnesses, the disciples would tell people what they knew to be true. They would tell people the good news about Jesus in the city of Jerusalem, in the surrounding area of Judea and the nearby area of Samaria, and all over the world. The Holy Spirit would be with them to help them.
After Jesus said these things, he went up into heaven. The disciples watched Jesus until a cloud hid him from their sight. All of a sudden, 2 men appeared. The men were wearing white clothes. These men asked the disciples, "Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking up into heaven? This Jesus, who has been taken from you into heaven, will come again. He will return in the same way that you have seen him going into heaven." Then they returned to Jerusalem, as Jesus had instructed them to pray and wait.
Jesus left earth and returned to heaven, but he did not leave us alone. Jesus sent the Holy Spirit to be with us and help us do God's work. One day, Jesus will return to make all things new and to rule as Lord over all.
The term ascended means to go up or to rise through the air. We saw in the video that Jesus ascended into heaven. You may be wondering why Jesus went to heaven if there were still so many people who did not know him. The reason is simple, even if it doesn't seem obvious at first. God's plan was for believers to share the gospel. Instead of Jesus, who only had one physical body, God sent out Jesus' many disciples to make more disciples, who would make even more disciples. And girls and boys, the good news is that he didn't leave us alone. He gave us the gift of the Holy Spirit so we would have the power to do the work he has called us to do. And he has called us to share the good news of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection with others, because it is life-changing in the best way. Take some time and share with your family something new you learned from the video today. We'll see you next week.